Hello.
I'm Alex.
And I'm Katarina.
And we welcome you to Renaissance Swag TV episode 6, live from the comfy couch.
Mm-hmm. So, it's Wednesday. Thursday. We all know what's coming up.
Okay.
Right? We walk into a store and you're going to see it. You got to have little baby cupids. You're going to see little hearts, red, roses. The whole shebang. Happy Valentine's Day is Saturday. And, I'm not trying to be facetious, not trying to be cynical by any means, because we love love.
We do love love. But it gets to a point where, again, totally into celebrating love. But Valentine's Day is pretty much the commercialization of love, right? And I think a lot of times there's certain marketing techniques that tap into that lack, mind, scarce mentality, where society and culture, they expect that if you don't have a significant other, you should feel down on yourself. You should feel less than because you're not out there having a good time with someone.
So we thought about this. We really embodied this, thought about this, and said, okay, what words get thrown around, get intermixed, interchangeable words that might come up and surface during a time like Valentine's Day, okay? And 3 words: lonely, alone, and solitude. So we're going to break them down to you and kind of dive into what we feel each word means and maybe share with you personal anecdotes.
Let's break it down.
So first is lonely. And so I struggled with this for quite some time. And in high school, I always would classify and kind of label myself as lonely. Like, BS. It's such BS. But I thought, just because, I did my own thing, went to my room, kind of cocooned myself, that I was lonely, I had no friends, and no one liked me, and thinking all these negative things, and my mind was feeding my thoughts on, saying, Katarina, you're lonely. And as I just said, 23-year-old Katarina is calling BS on 16-year-old Katarina, because that is...
Smackdown!
Not true, honey. Because it's just your mind, immature. It's an immature mind. Surface level. And it's not serving you. No bueno. No. Not lonely. I'm not lonely.
No, and I think, as we said, lonely is the more surface level, but what happens when you feel alone? Because I think that's entirely different. When you're feeling lonely... Different
side of the spectrum.
You just feel like you don't have company, or you feel like you don't have a boyfriend, a girlfriend, a proper friend group, right? But when you feel alone, you can be in a crowded room, surrounded by so many people, but if you don't feel connected to those souls, you feel alone. Because, I went through a period of my life, especially when I was a teenager, that I would block myself off emotionally. I was emotionally alone. I put up this guard, didn't let anyone in. I just felt like I couldn't relate to anyone. Yeah. I felt like no one would understand me, and no one would understand me or love me if I told them what was going on in my life. And I felt...
a barrier, in a way.
Definitely a barrier. And I know that what you were talking about, when you feel alone, is to be devoid of faith.
Yeah.
And we always talk about a higher power, right? God, the universe, that's what resonates with us. But a lot of times people say source, they say spirit, energy, spaghetti monster, right?
Really? Never heard that one.
Yeah. I'll let you know later. But I think when you're alone, you don't feel either spiritually connected to something that's bigger than yourself.
Or yourself.
Yeah. Or the people around you. Yeah. So that's what it's like being alone.
Yeah. No, and I've definitely hit, and it's totally different, because I've hit moments of that, and it's completely different from feeling lonely. Because lonely is just kind of what your mind says, and it's you're playing tricks on yourself. And then alone is literally you just kind of, the way I could describe it, visually, is you're kind of doing this, you just kind of crawl down and
you're numbing yourself off from feeling.
Hands down. And so, going from those kind of lonely and alone moments where they're really not serving you, and you're not, notice how even our faces and our
cringing.
We're cringing, and
it's your smaller version of yourself.
Doesn't feel good. And then we came to kind of this aha moment, right? And we thought solitude. So we were talking about this. When you think of solitude, you automatically think the Buddhist monk.
Definitely. Henry David Thoreau.
Walden Pond, you know.
Retreating to the wilderness.
Like
a nun that's giving up her whole life to her spiritual practice.
Exactly. You think of those extreme moments, and not putting those down, but, you know, we're living here in the 21st century, and maybe it's not feasible, maybe you do want to do it, go for it. But, you know, it's like, how can we get to that level of solitude, of finding yourself in a way on a day-to-day basis?
And without having to go to those extremes. So personally, what do you use? What are some of your solitude practices?
So like when I automatically think of me being in solitude, and I've grown because I was the girl that thought I was lonely by doing what I was doing. But then I transformed and said, no, this is not loneliness. This is me being in solitude and really just like understanding who I am and my world around me. So that moment for me is putting on like classical music, whether it's a violin, usually intermixed with a piano. It just like does something, it rattles my soul. And it's either me with a paintbrush in hand on a canvas, or, you know, my sketchbook, or me just typing out and writing a poem, or like words on a book or something where I'm just creating and like in that zone. Like I'm just, now it's like I feel like my energy just enhanced because I'm thinking of that moment of, I don't want to say enlightenment because that's such a high, you know, reach, but it's like you feel.
It's the flow. It's the flow state.
It's the flow state.
Yeah.
So like what to you feels like that green light flow state?
Right. And I know a lot of people try different things to feel that way, to feel in solitude. And we were saying before, when you're in that flow state, it's not even that everything is happy, it's more peace, because there's lots of thoughts coming at you. And in the beginning, it can be like, whoa, this is a lot to handle, right? But as you adopt your solitude practice, right, you're able to process those thoughts and really feel what's occurring, right? And for me, solitude is usually journaling, because I don't do it on a daily practice, but I'm getting there, right? And sometimes I just like love just writing. It could be on a notebook, it can be on a Post-it note, it can be, I have like 17 journals that are not completed, because I just like to write out my thoughts, right? But I know it sounds a little paradoxical, but some of my greatest moments of reflection and introspection, maybe this is because I'm an extrovert, is when I'm surrounded by strangers. It's like when I'm on a subway, or when I'm walking through the streets of New York City, or when I decide to just sit down at a bench and just people watch around me. And it's because my mind, I'm so present and I'm just observing. I'm the observer. I'm seeing what's going around me and processing how does that relate to me. And a lot of times different thoughts come up about who am I? Who are these people? And why am I here? All those crazy esoteric questions, right? But that's when I feel that solitude. I feel that connection.
And don't you find too that in moments of solitude, you know, it's like all emotions in one. So, you know, sometimes for me there might be tears on the book that I'm writing on, because maybe, you know, something happened in a song and it reminded you of something, or it made you think of something that was so happy and so nostalgic, and so you know, you found understanding in something and you just felt at peace. Other times you might giggle and laugh and smile at yourself, you know, and I think solitude comes in all shapes and sizes. So solitude for us clearly was different, and solitude for you could be completely different. And that's okay, and that's beautiful.
Absolutely. And I really do think, though, when you're in solitude, you don't feel alone, because you feel connected to yourself and something bigger than you.
And this is why we brought this all up for what's about to, you know, take place this weekend. Because, because it's true. Like, you might be someone that either has someone, doesn't have someone. Doesn't even matter. Just put that all aside and don't label yourself. Don't say I'm lonely. Don't say I'm alone. And find joy in the solitude of, you know, some solitude moments is what I'm trying to get at, you know?
Yeah. And whether you're going to hit the town this weekend, have a quiet night at home, or maybe paint and listen to music, right? We hope you have an amazing Valentine's Day, because we love love.
We love love. And on that note, we love you. And we hope you enjoyed this. And we'll kind of do an offshoot of this post next week.
Next week we'll really dig into that
your
whole
mind.
premise, feeding the mind.
So we'll dig into that, but
until then, we'd love to see you on the blog, www.renaissanceswag.com or renswag.com.
Yes.
Facebook, Instagram,
Twitter, Pinterest. You know, we just want to.
They all work.
Yeah,
even shoot us an email. hello@runswag.com. We'd love to hear from you. And some of our favorite parts, always engaging and hearing your thoughts. We love to, and it means so much to us.
So until then, we will see you next week.
Ciao, ciao.
Ciao. So take 2.
Ready? And we're looking to Renaissance Swag TV episode 6, live from the country. Not the country. Come on, dude. Alright, one more time. Let's do this.